Hey guys, so today's video is an update on all the brands that I think are in trouble according to me and you. I've been doing this kind of a collaborative effort and I know I haven't posted in a minute. It's just been difficult timing things. I'm kind of busy here and there, but I just like to post when, you know, inspiration strikes. So subscribe to the bell icon for engagement. Today's video has more of a theme to it. I want to do the next two ones kind of themed. Today's theme is influencer related brands that aren't doing too spicy too well. The thing is, I don't have any influencer brands to try out for you guys. I would kind of do this themed like makeup look to go with it, but I don't really try influencer brands, so I can't do this themed video for you guys, but I will just discuss these. Watch me do my makeup, everything will be in description, and that's that on that. So the first one is Item Beauty. So if you guys don't know, I'm also going to be using a lot of new makeup today, so I might interfere with some kind of a comment here and there, if that doesn't bother you guys. There have been a lot of exciting releases lately. I still have a few coming, so I actually, in my last video, talked about Jones Road, and I wanted to give you guys a little update because after I posted my video, for some reason, Jones Road reached out to me, not herself, the team, and wanted to send me PR, and they did send me PR, and I'm mixed. I think I still agree with everything I said in my original video, which was last video, that the brand is too difficult to use for how natural and effortless it's supposed to be, and I still think that after trying out the products, sadly, it hasn't really changed my opinion. It actually has kind of worsened my opinion because I think some of the products are borderline unusable. So that's my opinion. I actually filmed it, but I still haven't edited it, and it's going to be in TikToks on my makeup TikTok account. So if you guys want me to try it out at some point, I will post those and you can see my authentic reactions to the makeup. I'm still giving some of it a try, but I do think a lot of it is either lackluster or difficult to use for how effortless and minimal it's supposed to be. So I still stick with my original findings. And yeah, so it's good to try things out just to confirm, or, you know, go against what you originally thought, but this time it just confirmed my ideas of the brand already. Right now I'm trying to finish up the Milk skin tint. I haven't used this in a while, and then I realized this was one of my oldest products, so I'm just going through this. The first one I would say is Item Beauty, who, if you guys don't know, so the first brand, like I said, is Item Beauty, created by Addison Rae, who's obviously a massive TikToker, but she wasn't really known for makeup. I feel like the whole time she was just known for being a pretty girl that dances, which, yes, you can also be interested in makeup, but that was never really the focal point of her TikTok account. I feel like she always wore really natural makeup. I'm not saying if you wear natural makeup you're not interested in makeup, I just think it was never like a focal point. It was more just like she wears makeup just because, and not because it's some kind of a like passion almost. But then again, who am I to say what her passions are? But she was quickly, I had cut myself a new fringe, and I forgot how inconvenient it is to do your makeup when you have a fringe. She was then brought into Sephora, and that's really all I heard. I think the only product that went semi-viral was the lip oil, and it's because of a TikTok that she filmed herself in her car putting on the lip oil, and then people kind of started to buy it. But after that, I didn't really hear much hype for any of her other products, and even the lip oil, like, you know, yeah, it's nice and it got some buzz, but it wasn't like a long-lasting buzz. She also hasn't been that popular on social media for a while. That's not to be like shady and be like, oh my god, she fell off, but like I don't really hear about Addison Rae that much. Like I used to hear about her constantly. Now I don't hear about her at all. Like at all, I've not heard anything about her, which is probably really good for her mental health. Like I think stepping away from the limelight, and she's focusing on her acting career. I know she wants to act in more things because I heard that she was getting a role in a horror movie soon. So she obviously did her Netflix movie, and I think that's just kind of the direction she wants to go. She wants to be more low-key, and that's kind of good for her, but not really good for business, because you kind of have to be present on social media if you're selling stuff. Mainly if you started out selling stuff on social media, you can't just kind of disappear. So that's kind of the issue really underlying. And then I think the problem is I wanted to try Item Beauty for a while, just, you know, when I saw the lip oil, and I was like, oh, I'm so tempted, you know, I like to try things for you guys, for social media, for myself. I'm always so intrigued about different things, mainly to do with makeup. And I went on the website, and like, you know, when you try to like buy more than one thing because you're like, I want like a cohesive opinion of the brand, but you can't pick more than one product that interests you. Like I found the lip oils quite interesting, but it wasn't like enough to buy it. And then I thought like, okay, let me grab other things, but nothing was actually interesting me enough. So then I'd have to pay all these shipping costs for one lip oil, and it just started kind of putting me off, so I just never got anything. It all felt, one, a little bit childish, which makes sense because her audience is and was a little bit younger, so it feels kind of like, oh my god, my eyes are so bloodshot. Allergy season is kicking my butt. A lot of it looked quite childish, which makes sense for the age demographic of her audience, but obviously isn't for me, I prefer more adult looking makeup. A lot of it had really bad shade ranges as well. Like her bronzer only had one shade, which I thought was ridiculous for someone who's like on the internet. If you're interested in makeup, you would know how much of a big deal having a good shade range is. And like for her to just have one shade of bronzer really threw me. And it wasn't even a very deep one that like could fit more than one skin tone. It was very just like white people. And that's, you know, not to be shady. It's just kind of like, I haven't seen that in a while. I haven't seen someone come out with bronzers and literally only have one shade. Like if it's a bad shade range, they'll have like 2 or 3, like a light, medium, dark. But this one was literally just like, here's one. So that really kind of threw me. And yeah, the whole brand just felt a bit uninspired. It clearly wasn't something that she was very passionate about. So she was in Sephora, and then recently Sephora announced that they will discontinue Item Beauty, which makes sense for both parties. I think Sephora does charge for being in Sephora. Obviously, you're like taking up shelf space, so they do charge for it. And if you're not selling, then that might be financial loss for you. And then for Sephora, it makes sense because they weren't pushing products. So it just feels like, you know, I feel like the quick growth over the pandemic really did something where like if you blew up over the pandemic, you're typically not doing as well anymore, because I feel like from the pandemic to now is just such a completely different vibe on TikTok. And I'm not saying she's irrelevant. I'm saying she probably has enough money to retire, but there's just not that same hype that there used to be regarding Addison Rae, and that's completely fine. I think she wants it that way, because if she wanted hype, she would have been doing things to get hype, but she clearly just wants a more low-key life. But low-key and pushing product doesn't really go hand in hand. So far I'm not using any new product, so that's why I'm kind of just whizzing through this, because I'm just looking forward to trying some new things. I'm just gonna highlight all of that. I love my base today. I forgot how nice that skin tint is, and it has a bit of SPF, which kind of helps. The sun is coming out, but I'm still not in like summer season, so I forget to put on actual SPF, so it's good to have at least a little bit in the skin tint. But I will stop putting on SPF, mainly because I do use retinol. But then again, I don't really leave my house, so and I am so not the kind of person to wear SPF around the house. That's one thing. Like, I get all the girlies that are like, you have to wear SPF around the house, mainly if you sit next to a window. I don't. And I will not change that. So first new product is a Pat McGrath bronzer. Now you're gonna call me insane because I bought 3 shades. I'm just so particular about bronzer shades, and I knew Pat was gonna release a really good bronzer, so I was like, I need 3 shades. One of them looked more cool toned, kind of like a contourish shade, and then 2 of them were warmer in 2 different. So I thought like wintertime, summertime, don't say anything about my financial decisions. But I got the first 3 shades. So literally, if you're here with my skin tone and you want to see, you know, what these look like, I got Naked Desire, Nude Honey, and Bronze Dawn in that order, and they're packaging is just like the regular blush packaging. She also did release a blush. I'm gonna get into that. The blush looks a bit dark. I'm scared. It's called Divine Rose 3. I love the other Divine Roses. Actually, you know what? I think I can get away with it with light hand. And I also have the lip liner and the lip gloss, but the eyeshadow palette is on the way. So I'm just gonna open up these bronzers. Oh, this one is so cool toned. At least in the mirror and in real life, looks cool toned. This one is Naked Desire. I mean, that's very light. Yeah, very light. More cool toned than anything. Yeah, very nice. For pale people like me. This one is, oh, this one's the very cool toned one, the one that I thought was gonna be a contour shade. And it's called Nude Honey, which I don't know why it's called honey, because it's literally not like yellowy or orange. It's just this one. You can see it's a bit deeper and it's a little bit more cool toned, so that's Nude Honey for you guys. And then we have Bronze Dawn, which is the deepest one. This one also looks cool toned. These are all just quite cool toned. This one I think is the most warm toned one, but none of them are like orange, which I actually kind of enjoy for myself, because then you don't end up looking muddy. But yeah, this one is definitely the warmest, as you can see. So we can get like a very light, very light one, and then kind of more contoury. Definitely like a quite clear warm. I don't know if that translates as well on camera as it does in person, but this one is definitely the warmest and the deepest, obviously. This one's more contoury and this one's very light. So actually, I'm gonna go in with the lightest one, because lately I've been very pale. And the bronzer that I've been using is the Charlotte Tilbury one in Fair Pale, which is very extremely pale, and it's the only one I've hit pan on, and I think the lightest one is gonna go with it. Let me actually swatch this. Yeah, so this is, you can't even see it. These two are so similar, except this one is a little bit warmer, and I think this one's a little bit cooler, but then obviously these are much darker than these. So if you like this, but you want something smaller, so I'm just gonna go in with this. And so this is Naked Desire. Anyway, I think that looks stunning. Cool. Gonna be my new like cool toned, almost contoury, more contoury than bronzy, but like beautiful. I don't know how these things look on camera because I can barely see myself in the viewfinder. Anyway, so that's really nice. Yeah, I'm not gonna do anything else because I'm so pale lately that like the other ones will just not blend well enough. So stunning. It's so easy to blend. Obviously these are expensive, and she does do sets of 2. If you're unsure between 2 shades, it'll be the ones like next to each other and you get it on a discount. So if that's something that interests you guys, obviously all of that will be in the description. I just don't know if it's not too late for bronzers with Pat. I don't know what you guys think. I feel like these should have come out like very shortly after the blushes, and that would have made more sense, because I feel like now like the hype's kind of not there, which is so sad to see. Anyway, the next one is Selfless by Hiram, which is kind of in the same vein as Item Beauty for a very similar reason. I actually really like Hiram. Like, I've only had a handful of conversations with Hiram, but when he was blowing up, you know, I was there during the pandemic, very interested in skincare. I was watching, I was enjoying, you know. I'm gonna have to be very light with this blush because it could look clownish. It could. And I was actually sent the skincare line Selfless by Hiram in PR, but I personally really liked it. I know some people said it was overhyped or that it was too expensive for what it was, because it was powered, whatever that meant. I'm not really sure what that meant, but it was powered by Inky List. I'm assuming it was like Inky List formulas, but just with Hiram's name on them, and they were more expensive than regular Inky List formulas, which I bet you could find similar things from just the Inky List. Instead of having Hiram's name on it, that would have performed a very similar way, which I think a lot of people had, you know, issues with. But overall, I actually really enjoyed the products. This made me look a little bit sunburned, but like in kind of a cute way, so I'm not like upset about it. I'm actually adding more. That's how unupset about it I am. Yeah, no, I kind of like this. It's definitely a more out there color, like mainly now that I put it on my nose, but I kind of like it. I think it's more red than pink. Like, it's a little bit more reddish, but I mean, that looks kind of cute. Anyway, I mean, I just love Pat McGrath blushes, so it wasn't like a big deal for me. Like, I just love having more shades. I'm going to do a bit of highlight with, I dug this one, the Hollywood Superstar Glow Highlighter from Charlotte Tilbury. I dug it out recently. A lot of people just had issues, and I think this was at the time when, once again, I think if you boom very quickly, you're going to fall very quickly as well, which is kind of what happened to Hiram. I felt like he obviously blew up over the pandemic. Like, the growth was insane. He was filming videos with Dixie and Charlie. Like, videos were getting millions of views. I think he gained like 5 million subs over the pandemic, and then as quickly as you rise, that's how quickly you also fall, because a lot of people started having issues with his fans basically always being like, I don't care what this person says about skincare, I care about what Hiram says about skincare, even though he didn't really have any professional certifications for people to treat his opinions that seriously. And I think even if he was right about certain things, I think seeing someone's name in everyone's comment section can leave a bad taste in people's mouths, and I think that's exactly what happened with Hiram. Sadly, it wasn't like he did anything, it was more just like seeing his name too much kind of put a bad name in people's mouths, and I feel like then he stopped posting a lot. It just kind of went downhill from there, and I think he has been kind of off YouTube, posts, you know, rarely here and there, and I think that was kind of what did it with the skincare line. It was once again just like Addison Rae kind of stepping away, taking some time off, and you can't take your time off and also sell products. Sadly, like, it's either mental health or it is, you know, selling products. So he was also in Sephora, but was recently discontinued from Sephora, which makes sense. Once again, this shelf space is expensive. Sephora can put other things on the display, so it makes sense. I really like the face cream. I'm probably gonna repurchase it once I'm done with all my face creams. I think he's moving to Target if you want it in kind of physical stores, kind of like Sephora. He also just has his own regular website that you can buy from, so the brand is still going on, but it's just not in Sephora anymore. And I think moving to Target for the price point makes more sense. Like, I think Naturium, you know, I talked about how I don't really like Naturium, but I think the reason why they did so well is because they were in Target, and that leads to people buying it even if they don't know who Naturium is made by. I think Selfless by Hiram is still going to sell just because it's in Target and it's in such a attainable place. I think the fall off was just the bubble bursting. Also, people are now slowing down on skincare hype and bringing back the makeup hype. I think during the pandemic, makeup completely fell off, so any makeup influencers fell off, but now it's the other way around. Like, the skincare influencers are falling off. Take that with a grain of salt, and makeup is coming back around. So it's just all about phases and times of your life. I'm gonna use this Milk setting spray again. I tried it recently on my TikTok account. It's the matte setting spray, the Pore Eclipse, and I kind of hated it. Well, I kind of thought it was really impressive how matte it was, but it made my face so dry towards the end of the day. But anyway, I used the really dewy skin tint today, so I'm hoping it kind of, I don't know, I just want to use it again. It does blur and it does mattify, so if you're actually looking for a setting spray that mattifies, because I think some people say like some setting sprays are mattifying and they're not, mainly when you have oily skin. This one actually mattifies. You can touch your face and like none of the makeup will come off, which is crazy. I don't know, I'm just gonna try it out today because it's starting to get hot outside, and that's when I start sweating profusely, mainly on my upper lip. So I think that was it for Selfless by Hiram. I think it's not necessarily like it's the end of Selfish by Hiram because like I'm not sure about Item Beauty. I think Item Beauty might be coming to an end. Like I just don't see her really promoting it much. I don't think it's a passion project. I don't know if after the Sephora thing, like they might just sell out of all the stock and just move on. But I feel like with Selfish by Hiram, like he's clearly very passionate about skincare. So I think that move to Target might just be what actually does it for the brand. And I think it could become the next Naturium or it could not. I mean, you never know, but I don't think it's a complete cutoff point. But I think right now they are in a lull with the brand. I'm actually finally got my hands on the Natasha Denona Retro Glam palette. Obviously I love the glam, the like cool toned one, and this is the Retro Glam, which is a cool toned retro palette. It's got pinks and kind of turquoises in there. And I think for springtime right now, this is gorgeous. I'm also gonna rearrange these. I love rearranging my Natasha Denona palettes. I'll probably kind of organize them more by pinks and greens, but for now, I'm going to go into Holly. Oh, obviously very pigmented, as we expect from Miss Denona. Even in the pastels. Wow, do I love this shade. You can't even see on camera. That's how beautiful it is. Next one, Morphe 2. I'm putting it under influencer makeup because it essentially is. The only reason it blew up was because influencers were hyping it up and selling their codes and doing that whole thing. So I kind of count it as an influencer brand, and I think when the influencer bubble burst, so did Morphe and Morphe 2. Mainly Morphe 2. I think it had a lot of potential, but it just wasn't executed too well. So I'm going to kind of talk about that. I'm going to go into the deeper one called Belle. So I just did Holly, Belle. We're gonna put in some sage in there, some like of that bluey one, who knows. Wow, I love these kinds of pinks, like the ones that are kind of cool toned, kind of neutral, but like not ashy. They're just like beautiful. Wow, this might become my new favorite palette for the spring. I'm so obsessed. And like I wasn't sure about this palette before I got it, and then I saw it in a Morgan Turner video for her springtime kind of palettes that she wants to use more and that she recommends for spring, and I was like, you know what, that is a springtime palette. So I got it, and now I'm obsessed when I saw it in person because I think it's so gorgeous. And I've just been waiting to film this video to get it out for you guys. So Morphe, I already filmed a whole video on the bankruptcy and like how they blew up, how they fell down, so I don't have to get into all of that, and everyone kind of knows. But I think one, they very quickly associated themselves with very problematic YouTubers and tolerated it for a really long time. Then I think once they had no choice, they had to distance themselves from these people, which led to a lower, you know, affiliate link kind of usage. The thing is, they didn't replace these people with new people. They just kind of gave up on the influencers and then just like didn't sign on any new influencers. And then they tried to almost use like celebrities to sell makeup. So they went to like Madison Beer and all these people, to Maddie Ziegler, people that aren't typically known as influencers. And I think that didn't really work because these people aren't that passionate about makeup. I want to use sage, but I don't want to like ruin this makeup look. I don't know how to do it. I'm just gonna apply a tiny bit. I still need to figure out how I'm gonna use this eyeshadow palette, but I think that's quite cute. I just think the combination of these like pinks and sages is so gorgeous. Anyway, so then they thought like, oh, instead of using problematic influencers, we'll just use celebrities. But when people aren't very passionate about your brand, you know, that also doesn't sell. Because like, yeah, Jeffree Star and James Charles and Jacqueline were all problematic, but at least they were selling the makeup. Laura Lee, Manny Mue, they were all selling the dream. And yeah, you can use non-problematic influencers, but if they're not passionate about your brand, you know, what are we talking about? I'm just gonna use Belle under the eye. I don't want to do too much blue. I want kind of a chill look. What do I want to use? I'm actually going to use Oscar, which is the one up here on my whole eyelid. I just dug my nail into Oz. So sorry, Oz. I think Oscar is what I'm going to use. Yeah. So yeah, moving to people that aren't that passionate about makeup probably wasn't a great move. I think some new companies on like new makeup brands on TikTok are doing it so well. You know, they're using these kind of smaller influencers, giving them all discount codes and affiliate links like P. Louise and Makeup by Mitchell, and all these brands are doing it so well. I don't know why Morphe didn't try to look for new talent. Like, I don't know if they were just so hurt by how everything went down with these influencers. They were just like, no, we're not doing influencers ever again. But they could have found definitely new talent. I'm gonna use Flutter in the inner corner. It looks so beautiful. And it is. Wow. Oh, it's very breakable though. Anyway, I kind of love this makeup look. I think it's so cute. That's that on that palette. I think it's gorgeous. I'm going to be using this all the time during spring. And then I also think another issue was the fact that they opened up too many physical shops at the same time. I think the whole appeal of Morphe was that you could get it online only, and it was just like this online gem. And then I think opening shops was a great idea, but I think they definitely opened too many at once. Like, they're not a traditional brand, and they just decided like, oh, we're making a lot of money right now with James Charles and Jaclyn Hill and Laura Lee, Manny Mue, you know, Nikita Dragon, let's just open a bunch of shops and sell all of their makeup in our shops. And then they had to very quickly close all of those shops because the money just wasn't coming in anymore. And I think they just wasted a lot of money on rent and that many employees that they didn't necessarily need to have if they had just stayed online. I recently tried the Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara in brown because I'm looking for my favorite new brown mascara. I'm so into brown mascara. I forgot how good Better Than Sex was. So next, One Size Beauty. I recently started going to a Sephora because we finally have a Sephora in the UK. We actually have two. One of them opened before the other. And I've been going in, and for the first time I can finally see some of these brands like in person and see people's actual reactions to the displays. And I can finally gauge what people's reactions are by, you know, what brands people approach in Sephora. So One Size has been pretty neglected in my Sephora. I mean, some of it is getting swatched, like the 3-pan blushes are getting swatched a little bit, but I think the rest of it is just kind of like not really being touched. I even heard someone say, what's One Size? Because they saw the powder and they turned to their friend and went, oh, what is this? OS. And it just said OS on the powder and they went, oh, what's this brand? OS? And I was like, oh, people just don't know what this brand is. And I think this goes back to kind of Hiram and Addison Rae, where Patrick Star definitely kind of came off social media for a while, like stopped posting on YouTube, stopped like hanging out with influencers, getting into drama, which is kind of good, but it definitely led to people just not really talking about Patrick Star as much. I also think there were a lot of like, not lackluster, but kind of lackluster launches. I think even the way the brand started with the eyeshadow palette, there were some mixed reviews, I remember, with the eyeshadow palette being a little bit patchy in places or not, you know, layering up properly, but then some people loved it. So it wasn't like always a yes. And then I remember the setting spray and the removing product, the reactions were mixed. I just feel like the reactions were always like, it was never like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever and everyone agreed. It was always like, some people liked it, some people were like, no. I feel like a brand that has not necessarily like a staple product that everyone can agree is good kind of doesn't do that well. I know the powder is supposed to be amazing. I just don't hear that many people talk about Patrick Star. Or One Size Beauty. I don't know. I'm just not seeing many people go up to the displays. A lot of people say that the displays in their countries for One Size Beauty are also quite empty. So I'm just not seeing much hype. I think that's another influencer brand that's like good because it's in Sephora, but I don't know how much longer they're going to stay in Sephora. However, it was put on the displays in the UK. You know, if they're opening up a UK shop, why would they put up a brand that isn't doing well? So I'm wondering, like, just because there weren't that many people around it, like, does that mean the hype's not there? I don't know, because would they waste that display space in a new shop for a company that isn't doing well? So maybe behind the scenes the stats are actually really good. I don't know, but to me it just looked like it was a bit neglected, like people didn't actually care that much. Okay, finally we get to use the new lip liner and the lip gloss from Pat McGrath. I've never tried the lip liners. This is the Nude Venus. I also have Nude Venus lip gloss. I've never tried the lip liner or the lip gloss. The lipsticks I think are mediocre. The last one I have is, let me just line my lips. Oh, that's so pigmented. I think the lip liner is gorgeous and it just glides on. Kind of reminds me of like Colourpop or Kylie Cosmetics in the best way possible. I heard these are very long wearing though, so, but these I heard are very long wearing, so maybe that's the difference. That's where the price point comes from. I overall really love this makeup look though, so I don't know. The last one I have is Nimia, which is Nikki Tutorials' brand. Oh, these smell so good. To be fair, I've tried a lip gloss before, but it was a shimmery one versus one of these ones. This one is like opaque, but it has a little bit of glimmer going through it. I don't know, you guys. Oh, that's so pigmented. Okay, let's slow down. Oh, now I don't particularly like these lip glosses, the ones that are super pigmented. However, now that I only use like one you know, swipe, I think we can get away with it. Does it look milky though? Yeah, it does settle into the lines a little bit. I don't know if you guys can see on camera. My lips are a bit dry right now, so I don't know. I'll keep on using it and see how I feel. I think it might look good if you have like perfectly prepped lips. I've got an eyelash on my face. I think you've got like perfectly prepped lips, it might look really nice. Because now that I'm blending it out, it's starting to work its magic. I think it looks nice though, right? The shade is gorgeous. I think it's perfect for springtime. I don't know, I quite like this. I also cut my hair. I don't know if I showed you guys. Anyway, Nimia, Nikki Tutorials. I think Nikki Tutorials was supposed to release makeup in 2016, 2017. Instead of releasing, you know, a Too Faced eyeshadow palette and then kept on doing like Ofra collabs. I think at some point there should have been her own makeup line in there because she would have made so much more money. And I think the first product should have been an eyeshadow palette, second a highlighter, maybe even at the same time. Then I would have loved a lip set from her, kind of like a lip kit, a lip liner, a lipstick and a lip gloss in that nude beautiful shade that she always wears, and that would have been like the trifecta. And then from there go to like baking powders, like setting sprays, that kind of a thing. Like it's always like full beat, and like maybe even like beautiful blushes. Like I think, yeah, that would have been my vibe. A nice eyeliner, some false lashes. Like that's what I think of when I think of Nikki Tutorials. And First of all, it came out way too late. And then rather than like at the height of the beauty industry, it came after the pandemic. And it started out with mainly skincare. She released like a base. And I know that she says not to prime is a crime and like that whole thing, but I just don't think we care about like primers. First of all, a lot of people think primers are like kind of a waste of time. And I know it's more of a cream, but it's kind of a primer, but it's more skincare than anything. She also released one of these fans that you can just get on Amazon. It looks exactly the same, just blue and orange, I'm pretty sure. And since then she has released lip glosses, which I heard are really nice, and an eyeshadow palette that looks like it was just plucked out of 2016. So I think it would have done so well in 2016, right when it was supposed to come out. Like despite Nicki being massive on TikTok right now, like she's blowing up on TikTok and her reviews are doing super well, I don't hear much about Nimia. I don't hear about Nimia in YouTube videos. I don't hear about Nimia on TikTok reviews. I don't see anyone opening Nimia PR packages. Like I just don't see anything. And I don't know if that's Nicki not sending out PR or not promoting it enough. I just don't hear enough. And I just don't know when Nimia is going to pick up, if it's going to pick up or if it's just going to slowly fade away, which I would obviously not want for Nicki. I was actually the most excited about a Nicki Tutorials makeup line, but that was in like 2016, 2017, 2018 and not in 2023. So I wish it'd just come a little bit sooner. That's my opinion. But let me know what you guys think about all of these. Next one is super high-end brands that are in trouble. And then after that, it's more of your guys' suggestions or any other topics that you guys want to see. Subscribe with the bell icon for engagement and I'll see you in my next one. Bye guys.